Nice. Live.
Welcome back, Brad. It's so lovely to have you back here. Before I continue talking, please go ahead and greet everyone. I need to press live on Instagram.
Yeah. So, yeah, 2025, hey? 2023, Vanessa?
Okay, so sorry about that. I just got
No,
Instagram
it's
on,
cool.
and what I noticed on my live stream last week is that I was hearing an echo and feedback, and I just clicked off the Instagram only to notice now there was a button I could have muted. We live and learn every day.
100%, 100%.
So it's so good to be back. I mean, the last we had one was in November and we had a bit of a
Mm.
break. And as I said before this, that break has done you amazing things, Brad. Love having you back. You look amazing. You sound amazing from our little brief talk earlier.
Yes.
And I can't wait to dig into today's conversation. For those that are here with us, today's topic is understanding the concept of quitting to succeed. Challenging traditional success narratives will be the theme. And we're going to have a few discussion points in no particular order. Hard work versus smart work, exploring why these strategies don't always guarantee success in the SMME journey. Mindset and alignment, the
Mm.
importance of being in the right place at the right time and adopting a receptive mindset. Symbolism in focus, discussion around the tarot card metaphor of focusing on craft
Yeah.
while leaving the door open for opportunity. I can't wait to dig into this stuff today. Audience engagement. We really want you to participate and share moments where, stepping back created unexpected success for you. Without further ado, Brad, please tell us, how have you been? What's been happening? What's brought on these themes and concepts? Because when we share, we always share very openly and raw and what's prevalent for us too as entrepreneurs.
Yeah, so I think what brought this article on was really around this concept of having to let go of something that really constantly creates challenges for you. As a business owner, we always have this kind of discussion in our heads of should I be pushing through, or should I be quitting, or should I be closing my business and moving somewhere else, or should I be looking for a job, or this is not normal, or and these are the times when you have cash flow issues, you're not paying salaries. You under stress, your deals are not coming through very easily. You seem to be struggling with your deals. But before we reach the point where we give up on these businesses that we've spent a lot of time building and we've put a lot of effort into, we need to have that process happen in our heads where we need to quit and we
Yes.
need to step back and allow. Now, regardless of your faith-based, we had this discussion before we went live. We are not creators. We are here to experience the concept of business ownership. We are here to ensure that we live up to our unique ability to be an SMME through experience. So this concept of I must go out and hunt for business and I'm the one that needs to create the business and I'm the one that needs to create these opportunities is actually not what we should be doing. And when you're at that space of quietly quitting and you quit mentally and you take a step back and you allow, there are huge changes, fundamental changes that happen in your business. And that is where I believe the magic happens.
Brad, like I said, my daughter gave me a bit of a head massage because I've had a bit of a headache of the day, and I'm very chillaxed as I'm sitting in this conversation with you. But what's coming through for me is that it's the traditional way of doing business can no longer prevail. And that business is not only meant to be hardcore, but there's a spiritual element to this. And what I'm hearing come through the word that you speak and the unspoken words, even, and just energy in terms of how you're showing up here today, it means that if we let go and let be, that's a spiritual aspect of it. I mean, what are your thoughts around
Faith.
that? And how do we
Mm,
break the taboo around people looking at their businesses in a more holistic manner? And I
mm,
say this because I coach many entrepreneurs who, like you have just said, in this SMME space, they're on these different programs, and it's about the balance sheet and the income statement and all the buzzwords, the business model canvas,
mm,
the value
mm,
proposition, what is
mm,
your vision, your mission, and your values. And whilst all of them are important, if the attachment to any of those is too overly weighted, I certainly don't feel it's going to yield the results. And there needs to
mm,
be some sort of I'm not sure I like the word balance. I'm not sure that's the correct
mm.
word, but I feel integration of all of those aspects need to almost be aligned, which brings us back to the spiritual point again. Letting go and not having to push to any of these things, but being very clear and having that clarity of discernment around when to wait to receive.
Yeah, wow. Sure, that's a difficult one for me to spring from because it's so congruent. It's like so closed. But look, I like to keep things really simple. I struggle when we have strategies that are 30, 40 pages long, or when we sit for hours and mill over something. For me, it needs to be pretty arrowhead. It needs to be pretty simple and strategic. And if you just think about it, as business owners, we are selling an experience. Even though it's a product or a service, we actually sell an experience to our customers. Why can we not afford ourselves the opportunity to sell ourselves the experience of business ownership? Just think about it.
Mm.
Why does it have to be difficult? If we step back and we quit this constant pressure we put on ourselves about achieving success that we might not even want, why can we not just step back a bit and go, I want to experience? Let me give you my personal example. I've always grown up wanting to have, I work in the creative industry and I want to have my agency like a flower shop, corner of a busy street. You unlock in the morning, you greet your neighbors. Hey, Bob. Hey, Sue. Coffee in your hand. Real movie like. And you unlock your studio, you open your doors, your team's coming in, you got music going, and you're just creating, and you're just in the space of being an artist. And you're doing really great strategies, and you're supporting and helping, and you're giving your clients great experience, but you are in yourself experiencing. And I think that is where we've kind of lost it a little. We've locked ourselves out of this amazing experience of business ownership by putting pressure on ourselves to do things where I, I don't think sometimes we even want.
Yeah.
I struggle with it because I full falter it. I mean, I watch this, what's happening in the US, and I look at these, they call them now oligarchs, these huge tech giants, and they're sitting there at the organization. And I think to myself, I have the same intellect as that person sitting there, but I'm standing in Checkers buying my discounted dog food because it's end of the month. And I think to myself, am I not better than this? Am I not meant to be there? Then I get all hard on myself and I put all these pressures and unnecessary things. And then I've got to go back and clear that out and say, but hang on a sec, what experience do I want as a business owner? I don't want to be that. I don't want to experience that actually. I want my little corner cafe. I want to win awards, which we do, and I want to be successful. And it's the same with you. I know the kind of experience you want from your business because we talk about it often. And you're just like edging towards it, and I can just see this whole thing exploding and unloading. But it's definitely not sitting at Donald Trump's inauguration as a tech oligarch.
No.
So it all boils down to creating an experience. What do we want to experience from business ownership? And then in that same breath, when we start to fool ourselves to say, I want this material thing, or I want that material thing. Question that, because that's influencing your experience.
Sure.
Sorry, a bit of a long one.
No, but it's long, but it's easy to connect and relate to it. It's relatable, right? And as you said, you like to keep it simple in a work context, and the same with the home. I want to go back to what we have on the agenda for today. So we this concept of hard work versus smart work.
Yeah.
I've been guilty of it myself. Somebody said to me when I was potentially going back into the work world not so long ago, contemplating, do I give up my business? Do I just find a job again? Because my key contract ended with my bigger retainer. So what do I do now? And I think you're right. It comes back to, what experience do I want? What is it that is important to me in the business of serving? Right? Yes, there's products and programs and strats and facilitations that happen within my business. But what is it that I want to experience for me, and how that's going to play out in my life, both personally and professionally? And what do I want to leave as an experience for those that, utilizes my services? And ultimately for me, it comes back to, hold on, it's not about putting in disproportionate amount of hours. If I can define that I only want to do maybe 2 coaching conversations or partnerships in a day, 1 facilitation session, why not? Why does it have to be that I have to make up 8 hours of my day and then later on work again? Because I still get stuck into that rut of the day doesn't cut off at 5 o'clock like it does for traditional people that are working. Because as a business owner, no, how dare you? You need to go and do that admin. You need to go and look at who's in the pipeline that you're going to speak to tomorrow. You need to think about what of your operational stuff needs to be. And it's a constant, and it is that working in the business. And that's where we find ourselves working hard. But if we take ourselves outside of it, what would that look like? And for you personally, what does it look like now that you're focusing more on experience and being on the receiving end of things rather than pushing?
I actually talk less. That's something that I've picked up. I actually have less conversation when I'm engaged in a conversation which is fundamentally pretty negative. And I know it's going to shift me out of the space that I'm in. I kind of just go very quiet, and I just allow that person the experience of venting and what they need to do. Just less conversation and more focused on experience. What I do now, which is quite interesting for me, it's worked out quite nicely, is I write every morning. I wake up. I've fallen back in love with writing, and every morning I wake up and I use AI tools to write now. I wake up, Ben, and say, listen, Ben, we're going to write a little bit. I want to write what my experience for the day is going to be. And I've started to have a little bit of fun with it. I've put down there, I'd like to experience a great cup of coffee, but only one coffee. I don't have too many with my ADHD. I would like to experience a difficult client. We problem solve and make happy again. I'd like to experience a bit more revenue in my business. I'm worried about month end. And I create this and is down. And I just switch off. I put really, really good music on. I focus on getting dressed. I focus on the experience of brushing my teeth. I stay in that exact moment. Get in the car, get to the office. If I'm in the office, if I'm at home, I jump into my little study. And that's what I've been doing now. And that's really, really helped me to shift through this overthink pressure I put on myself as a business owner. And that's been very interesting for me. And, things have just come into my space. It's actually so scary. It doesn't feel real. You know, you actually, it comes to you, you don't accept it because you're like, whoa, this is too quick and too real. You
Yeah.
just meet the right people, you have the right conversations, people pop up from your past. You know, amazing things starts to happen inside you. You start getting excited again about your business. And that's the thing with us business owners is we don't allow ourselves the right experiences. Um, it's just we're too damn hard on ourselves, and rightfully so because we are coming off our back foot. But what happens if we focused on the right experiences? That would be a fundamental shift, in my view.
I couldn't agree more because, as you, I've also had a monumental shift since December. And I mean, I know we're only almost at the end of January, but it's that need to control and the belief that it is within my control. And that comes from childhood and childhood traumas, even. And one underestimates how your childhood traumas filters into how you show up in your business, because you're going to think that you need to hustle and push and pull and drive things constantly and never get to quite experience it. And it's the experience that you are referring to. For those that are listening in, I haven't checked Insta. Um, I feel it's coming back into presence, because when we come back into presence, we can appreciate. And whatever we appreciate, that say appreciates, it becomes more. So abundance and receiving more is rightfully going to come to your door without you needing to even look, because you're in the right energy and you believe that are those planes flying over that I keep hearing?
Yeah, yeah. I'm in an office close to the airport. Logistics.
Okay, that explains a
I
lot.
couldn't, yeah, I couldn't get back to our offices in time. So because of this incredible space we live in right now, you can find an office anywhere. And I've got this
Anyway,
amazing
yes.
little, yeah, I got this amazing little office place, but it makes me feel really, I don't know, it makes me feel international suddenly. I hope it's not too distracting. It's every time it comes over, I'm like, yeah, people could feel like I'm traveling. I'm like, yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, exactly. You're in the moment and in that experience. And think about every time a plane, like, let's use this in this conversation. Every time a plane goes up, there's an experience happening, and people are in that moment. And some are not in the moment, and they kind of just not even valuing that precious moment of going up in the air and moving to whatever destination they're going towards. Whether they're going for work or holiday, it's irrelevant, but it's an experience that airline is trying to share and give to that particular, what do you call them? What do we call us when we are a passenger?
Traveler. Yeah, traveler,
Traveler,
passenger.
passenger.
Mm.
I like the word traveler. So if we are all travelers in our lives, we need to let go of trying to control and just be within each moment. Because when we are traveling to different destinations, what do? We're in awe. We are wanting to experience the culture, the people, the food, the energy, the vibrancy of a place that we go to. And I think that's what we need to bring back into our businesses, is to
Yeah,
just let go and
yeah,
not be as hard. Because as you said earlier on, it's like I have to put in X amount of hours, and the politically correct thing is you need to have a pipeline of so many clients, and you need to be calling so many people a day. You need to be on social media, and you must have a presence on social media. So many posts a day, so many videos, so many reels. I'm sorry, I have let go of the idea that social media or hunting for business or networking at events is going to translate in my business success. You
yeah.
and I
So
spoke about this
it's a good
before.
point. Yeah,
We spoke about before the break, because we're trying to control and create, And I want you to come in with that point because you articulate it so beautifully. So talk to us about the creating versus the creator.
Yeah, so look, again, and this is not affiliated, as you know, for me, this is not affiliated to any religion or any sort of specific belief, but we are not the creators, and I know it's so weird to say that because everything we are taught is around how we need to create the environment around us. But if you really think about it, we are here to experience. But we are able to ask for specific experiences. We are able to say, I would like to experience the feeling of owning a home in Daneford. Or I would love to experience the feeling of seeing my kids graduated from varsity. I would love to see that experience. And you get behind that experience. That will then be created for you. It already exists. As soon as you talk it up, it's already there. And it's up to you to align, to bring it into existence. And I know for many people listening to this, is probably sounding like, it's 2 days to month end and you don't have enough for debit orders and things are going crazy. And Brad is telling me just to quit, to calm my mind and just to experience it.
Yes.
But that's exactly what I'm asking you to do. Experience that bounce debit order because you've brought that into existence.
True.
Then say to yourself, I don't really want to experience that. Okay, let's shift. I would like to experience enough money at month end to pay my debit orders. I'd like to experience that feeling of looking into my bank account and going, okay, I've got this. I mean, just that alone as a business owner is massive because small business owner is huge for us because that is a huge issue for us is the cash flow and making sure we can keep our businesses operating.
Yeah.
The problem is, you've mentioned it before, our core and guiding beliefs from when we were children, we were always taught to work hard. We even do it with our kids where we say, when we were your age, we did this, this, and this.
Oh,
When
yes.
remember, and our parents did it to us. And it was this concept of really, really working hard. But if I sat back the other day and I thought about my grandfather, who was this massive, massive business owner, built from nowhere, it was a foster kid, didn't have parents, built this life, built this incredible amount of wealth. And if I remember the times I was young when he passed, but all the times I remember was him sitting on the stoep reading a newspaper. And I started thinking about it and thinking, but yet he created all these businesses and not created, he experienced all these businesses and, all of these things were in his space. But I only always remember him sitting quietly on the stoep reading his newspaper. Maybe sometimes that's what it takes. Go to your local coffee shop, sit down, grab a newspaper, go online and read an article, listen to an audiobook, take time out with your kids. Experiences are really important. And I know it's a big pivotal shift from last year where we spoke through mindset and how important it is. And we spoke through, the importance of being present as an SMME. And now Brad is saying, okay, well, while we're on this journey, remember, you're not creating, you're experiencing. So be careful about what experiences you ask for. When you wake up in the morning and you're like in a bad mood, hey, and you're in a foul mood, and how your rest of your day unpacks. Just think about that. Because that's the experiences you're asking for. You're in that bad space. Oh, you know what? I'm probably going to hit major traffic. My kids are probably going to be late. Oh, you know what? My wife is probably not going to do this. Because it's the thought process. Those are the experiences you ask for. And that's what you're receiving. So it's a little bit of salt, a little bit of a wake-up call. But that is the messaging around this piece. And I think a lot of people have resonated with it.
Listen, it resonates with me completely. I'm that lived experience of getting into the experience rather than pushing to make something happen.
Yeah.
To create, yes.
Because you tried. Remember last year we had a discussion. I remember it. In November you were saying, I'm pushing, Brad, I'm pushing because my big client's coming to an end. I'm pushing. And then at some point you stopped the pushing and you started to shift that into, what do I want to experience? And then
But
I feel like there was a shift for you.
but we're heading into some of the mindset and alignment part of today's conversation. And I think that's the most critical part. If my mindset connects to stories of my childhood of coming from lack and scarcity, and that is hardwired for me, or if I am in a victim consciousness constantly around, but I do everything right now, why the hell is this happening to me now? I've done all the steps to try and grow my business. My operations is right. My finances are in order. I cold call daily. And I'm using this as a generalized example. And I personally have to also go through that or went through this. And then I ask myself, but if I'm doing all the things that are correct, all the steps, and it's still not translating or manifesting, it's because I'm seriously in a victim consciousness. I'm seriously in a self-sabotage mode of thinking I have control, and I'm in a hyper-vigilant state. I'm in fight, flight, and freeze. I don't know where I am, and I'm touching on everything and trying to speak to everyone, but one does not realize that vibrational energy, that frequency, it's the unspoken. You don't even have to speak it. Whatever is in your mindset will come through in whatever shape or form it's going to come through, where people are not going to resonate or vibe with you. And you're not going to be able to attract, even if you make 1,000 calls in a month, you're not going to convert anything because you're not in the believingness, or you don't believe you are deserving of it.
Yeah, you're not in a receptive state.
Yes, and that's the point around this theme, is around knowing the importance of being in the right place at the right time and adopting a receptive mindset. Because we're not and whilst people might be questioning you and me both in today's segment, probably because it's like, hey, but it's month end. We need to close some deals, or we need to figure out how we're going to pay our bills. I had a conversation with somebody today, and he was saying, shit, it's 2 days before, and it's a tough time because now I'm thinking about how am I going to pay things. But it is, as you alluded to it earlier on, let that debit order bounce. Experience it. Does it define you? No. If you let it define you, it means that you need to go
That's
back to your
important.
mindset and what needs to shift in that.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, you've just, that point that you've just moved, shifted us into is
Focus. This is
absolutely.
a this
You there?
Where were we? I lost you there a moment.
No. Cool, cool. I was just actually saying
I'm
that that
back.
space that I've shifted into, the conversation you shifted us into is actually so vital, because that's the other element of being in a receptive space, is actually just understanding that you have to sometimes sit back and allow for things to come in. You have to allow for things to unpack. And yes, the quitting was really around, maybe it's time to stop what you're doing in your business and the way you've been doing things traditionally and start approaching it differently so that you can have a better experience. I think it's a good point. You there?
Brad, are you there? Is it my side? Is it my side that the signal and the bandwidth seems to be toggling backwards and forwards?
Yeah, I think it might
Probably.
be your side. I'm not
And
sure.
and this
Yeah,
is life.
it
And
happens.
this is life, right? This is the challenges that we get thrown with. So where would you like to take the conversation next, Brad? Because there is one
Yeah.
that I'm intrigued by that I want you to shed some light on. Symbolism in focus. Discussion around the tarot card metaphor of focusing on craft while leaving the door open for opportunity. Here's a
Okay.
here's a comment here. Here's a comment here. Let's quickly see if we can get this comment up. If I can. If I can't, I'll read it. Angelo de Villiers says, entrepreneurs do not realize what a major roadblock the mindset is. Our only objective as entrepreneurs is to achieve our goals. We are not cognizant of the side road which causes those blockages. Yikes. Spot on.
Yeah, 100%. So, I know this is a bit left field, and I know that introducing a concept of tarot cards with business is usually something people cannot really align with. But, you know, there is this tarot card. It's the Eight of Pentacles, and it's obviously a money card. Pentacles representation of money and things. And for me, what's so beautiful about this card is it's a visual of someone working on their craft in their workshop, but they've allowed the door of opportunity to remain open. And you can really see that the way that this person has been illustrated, that they're focused on getting their craft right. They're focused on getting all their focus is in that particular moment on what they love doing. And they love doing it because they've done 7 of it on the back of the wall, and there's one that they're busy working on. And it really resonated with me because I feel that sometimes we feel we've got to push really hard all the time on the networking and the meeting the new clients and growing the business. And it's the hustle. You see these guys at the gym and they walk in and they're on the phone and they're like doing these deals. And it's this idea of the hustle, always hustling. But sometimes we need to step back and really focus on our craft. And as a group of SMMEs in this country, I do believe we should be shifting to a space where we become professionals in our craft, where the quality of our work and the workmanship and the artisan behind what we do is beyond first world, which we do already to some degree. We just need to do more of it. And I think if we can shift into that space where we focus on our craft, that will allow us to share the experience we're having with potential customers.
Yeah.
And that then aligns the customer experience with our experience. And it brings that beautifully together.
So I know those tarot cards. I actually have a deck also. I can't remember. I think it's, I've just packed it away. I've packed it away. But it's based on Sufism. And I know we're getting really spiritual. But it is certainly, it's spot on, because when you are confident in the talents, the gifts that you have, that you've been bestowed with, and whatever you've been bestowed with is in service for the greater good of humanity, and you just need to hone in on that, you will be on the receiving end of people coming to you. You would not need to be pitching. I hate networking events that go like this. Hey, I'm so-and-so and I do this and I can really help you in your business. I have stopped going through. Every time that plane takes off, I'm thinking, where do I want to go next? I'm going to Spain now. Where's the next flight?
Amazing. Oh, that's amazing. Are you planning on going there?
No, my wealth coach that I had sessions with, and one of our final sessions were, so where have you identified you want to go next? What are the countries and why do you want to go there? And Spain somehow came up, and Italy came up, Dubai, Morocco. So there's a couple of places I want to go to, and they all have a purpose behind it. And I'm certainly not going to push. I'm almost experiencing being in Dubai and being on that podium, speaking at this particular event that I want to be a speaker at, and sharing my story, sharing my lived experience, right? In the same with Italy, I met a beautiful lady online. So I'm getting energetically into that experience as if it's already happened. And one will never underestimate the power of that. But I digress. So coming back to the craft, It's these planes that keep going off that gets me distracted.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
So the crafts thing for me is just be. You spoke about perfecting the craft and just, but if it's innately part of our talent, our God-given talents, and it's meant to serve greater than ourselves, it's about just being that and showing up consistently as that. So your social media approach shouldn't be about selling. Your networking should be more about, you spoke so nicely earlier on, you talk less. It should be about listening. And when in the listening and in the silence, sometimes we receive a lot, not sometimes, we actually, Brad, when you're more silent these days, don't you find you, goodbye, Habibi.
Next time I'll make sure I get back to the office. I just couldn't get there. Couldn't get there.
Why not? We're having
Um,
fun. We're experiencing the moment for what it is.
yeah, no, I'm having so much fun. So if I can pick up from there, I think the key thing for me, okay, look, this is not new concept. I'm saying in the receptive mode. We have a lot of spiritual coaches. We have a lot of faith-based religious icons and movers and shakers and influencers talking around the concept of faith being receptive, in order to receive. But for me, I've just simplified it to the point of what experience do I want?
Mm,
And when I'm a little bit down about my business, and we've got a few businesses, and I do get down sometimes about it. I just sit back and I remind myself about what is the experience I want from my business,
mm,
and I focus on that, and it really it shifts. When I say almost immediately, it is immediate. So when you move into a space where you start focusing on what experience you want and you get into a space to receive that experience. So a lot of us will go, I want to drive a Ferrari, but we can't quite experience it in our minds because
mm,
from where we are and where that Ferrari is very far.
mm,
So for me, the big deal and the clincher for me is ask for experiences that you truly believe you could experience with or without that actual experience. So you say you'd like to go to Spain, and I mean, I see you there, and it's got such an amazing history. I think you would love it there.
mm, mm,
And the people are so amazing. I would love to go there too. Um, now it is that experience you're thriving for. It's that ability to believe that one day you will be there and you will be experiencing it. And I think that's where we fall apart with our businesses. We believe our businesses are destined for X. This is the greatness my business is destined for. And we base it on things that we don't actually really want and we don't truly believe in. But we put it there because society tells us that what your business should look like. That's what a businessman looks like. That is what a successful human being is. You need to be that if we're going to consider you successful. You don't consult your inner person, your inner soul on that journey. Then you go and build and you run and you chase that and you hurt yourself in the process. It's good. Okay? You hurt yourself in the process. But if, on the other hand, you sat down maybe with your wife or your partner or your children or your family, whoever's involved in this journey with you, and say, what do we want to experience out of this business? You know what? We actually don't want that picture that we've been selling ourselves. We actually just want this. We just want this. And we are going to experience this. If you do that with your family and your collective, your partners or whoever's involved, and everybody can believe in that experience, that will happen. There's no
mm.
doubt.
You know, I've made some bold, very bold moves without getting into detail around it. And I had friends that said to me, no, are you crazy? You don't have certainty of work contracts. You don't have certainty of maybe a job on its way. And here you are making such a bold decision. So, as I said, without getting into detail around it, and I went into what you're describing, the experience of what I want for my family. What would it feel like if we make this decision, this bold move? What would that all look like? And what would that bring? What possibilities will unfold with this big decision, even in underlying uncertainty? Now, uncertainty breeds fear because it's the unknown. But is there such a thing as certainty? I'm sorry, that's an illusion. So there will never be certainty of you achieving your projections that you put into your business. It's just that, it's a projection. So yes, you can certainly get close to the projection or maybe even shoot the lights out and exceed it. But until you can see it and believe it and just trust in it that it's going to happen by the creator
Yeah.
itself, it ain't going to manifest. And I mean, we can talk this to death. I have
Yeah.
now had my own personal experience where I'm sitting here with still uncertainty prevailing across so many areas of my life, personally and professionally. And what did I decide to do? I let it go. I use the term, I mean, soft surrender because it's not my term, Brad. I have been seeing it's trending somewhere. Somebody started with soft surrender and I latched onto it and I loved it. And I thought, what does soft surrender feel like? And it's everything that we've just discussed here today. It's just to let things go and not try and control, be in acceptance, be in a state of receivership, and be willing to open the doors to possibilities. But until we move away from the conditioned belief around how it should be and just try it, what have we got to lose to try this new approach?
I don't think it's what you got to lose. I think it's got a lot about the ability to shift into the space. I've been under spiritual coaching for a very long time. I've had to rewrite my core guiding beliefs around wealth, around what is important, around values, around a lot of different things. I had to kind of reset that. So it did take a lot of time, and it is something it's a daily practice. But where we could start, and for people listening in, whoever comes across this by chance, not by chance, by experience, my advice would be is start off by writing your happy ever after story, your book, your children's book, your book.
Yeah.
So, and it is in the tone of a children's book. It's got to be basic. It's got to be descriptive. It's got to be something that is really simple to understand. What is your forever after? And you got to then take that and you got to rip that up because it's not your forever after. Then you got to sit down and you got to rewrite it and you got to rewrite it and you got to rewrite it and you got to dig deep until you get to know as a business owner, what are you expecting as your ever after? Then you go to your business and go, okay, what am I expecting from you? What is your contribution as my business to my experience? Are you going to pay for it? Are you going to work against it? Are you going to help me get there quicker? Are you part of it? What is that experience? And that is the fundamental space to start. And just doing that is going to already start shifting the way you perceive things. How is it? Just ask yourself this question. How is it that I met someone this morning, right? A dear colleague. I'd like to call her a colleague. We work together. She does interviews, and she, takes interviews live, and she interviews these most amazing people around mindset and things like that. And she went quiet for 2 years, and we reconnected. And we both came to the venue, and both of us said, the traffic was really bad. Really, really bad. We both came from 4 ways, 2 Melrose. Traffic is really, really bad. And then I was on the phone with a friend of mine and said, where are you? And he said, I'm in Melrose. I'm like, dude, so am I. Geez, the traffic was bad. And he said, no, it wasn't. He said, I got to it very quickly. It's that.
Yes.
How is that possible? Can
Oh,
you
yeah.
tell me there's nothing behind experience?
This triggers something that Garber, the psychiatrist Garbo Mate,
Mm,
he
mm,
spoke about two brothers that grew up in the same household and were experiencing the same traumas from whichever the parent that was more damaging, for lack
right.
of a
Yeah,
better word.
yeah.
But he said it was interesting that the one repeated history, the other one didn't. And I think it's so profound, this thing about your experience with your present, with what is in your environment, really will dictate in terms of how things unfold for you. Because that traffic, for me personally, I don't fight traffic. I see traffic as me time, quiet time, learning
Mm,
time. I can listen to a podcast. Um, I can go into silence.
mm,
So it's a very different mindset and energy I put to traffic
mm,
because I have a busy lifestyle, right? I'm constantly with my kids or
mm,
working.
mm.
So when I get into traffic, it's like, okay, here's a
It's like,
moment for
yeah. I think you're probably the only Cape Townian that feels like that.
maybe, but I've always, all the years, and I mean, I have to travel into town, and sometimes it takes me 2 hours into town on those
Sure.
very bad traffic days because of where I stay, right? I'm about 60
Mm,
kilometers away from the city of Cape Town. So there's that to contend with. And then when traffic is congested or insane, what am I going to do? Am I going to
mm,
experience it with angst and frustration? Or am I going to go in with no expectations of how that traffic is going to go?
mm,
Or let go of the idea of certainty of what my GPS says that trip is going to be an hour.
mm,
And then when I finally get on the road, it's
mm,
not. That's the same within our businesses. It's not
mm,
black and white. It never will be. But if we stay in our
mm,
truth and
mm,
our
mm.
authenticity and come connect back to, you said last year, our success story, we know what that success story looks like.
So, yeah, I think the success story still lives. I think it's really important to know what does success mean for you because then that'll help you build the experiences you want to build. And we often latch on or attach ourselves to other people's experiences. So, and one of the things I've also stopped doing is I stopped being active on social media. So I am on there. I'm going to sound so old now. I'm on there for Pinterest for like stuff that I enjoy from a hobby perspective and health and
Yes.
built yeah, and architecture and stuff. I love architecture, and obviously on LinkedIn for business and the things I want to do there. But the Insta scrolling, the TikToking, and all of the other stuff I've kind of stopped because
Mm.
it started to influence my experience and what I view certain things to be. And
Yes.
since I've done that, I've had a very clearing, kind of a cleared vision of what I want to experience. And then I'm able to ask for the experience that truly aligns with what I want. The
Mm.
problem is sometimes we ask for experiences that don't really align to what we truly want. And we're asking for all this stuff and it's not coming through. And we then get into a space where I've got to work harder or I'm not doing it right or I'm not smart enough or I'm not showing up enough. But
Yes.
if we just take a couple of steps back and realize that just by being present right now in this moment, you are greatness. And that's an incredibly powerful thing to embrace. And everybody around you is greatness.
Mm.
There is not one human being or or being on this planet that's greater than the other. We are all greatness. And when you start to think of yourselves and start to align your experience to what you truly want, you start to rely less on someone else's experience. You acknowledge it, you're happy for them, you're happy they're having that experience, but you don't thrive for that experience. So that example would be you saying to me, I'm going to Spain. And I go, that's amazing. And suddenly I feel like, well, maybe I should be going to Spain because you're going to Spain and you're having such a great time and you're quite dynamic and things are coming together for you. Now, suddenly I want to jump onto your experience bandwagon, but that's not truly aligned to what I truly want. And the key for a business owner is to really do the mindset homework. Spend as much time as you do on your finances, on perfecting your craft, and all of those things as much as you would with your mind. Your mind is your biggest asset, and that is what's going to drive your success. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that say, do these posts that say, rich people do this, Warren Buffett did that, Joe Su did this. Look how amazing they are. And then everyone's like, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to invest in crypto. If one more person asks me to invest in crypto, I think I'm just going to, I don't want to experience that anymore. But yeah, so I think it just boils down to just circling back, because we're nearly coming to the end, and I think I've spoken too much, but circling back, it boils down to, what does success mean for you? What experience do you want from yourself and your business? And then, how do I stay in that experience state and not lose my cool or ask for something else or get frustrated with something? And that is where all the effort and your day-to-day me time should be moving into, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. You know what's coming to mind? Experience is it's an emotive thing. There's emotions that you feel with it. So it is actually quite spiritual, right? I was busy. I did a strat session this week with a new client who's actually a family-owned business. And one of the things we're looking at is taking them on a journey about what is their brand and what is their brand archetype say, and what is the spiritual experience their customers will have with them. And I mean, we touched on some interesting stuff, and like, what do we think is possible? And how can we add that sparkle and glitter to the brand experience? And I think it's quite relevant even here in this conversation. What is that sparkle and glitter that we want in our own lives? What does that feel like if life is by design and we are aligned? And I think you may not have used these words exactly, but if we're not clear on our value system, and we've said this over and over before, we will not be very clear on how to experience that particular situation or person or networking event, because we're not in our value system. And if we're not in our value system, we're not in our truth, we're not in our essence. And the essence is our spiritual side, where we're not putting on personas or mask or showing up in a certain way that's the traditional sense. So I'm kind of, I said to the client, like, I'm doing this for you as a facilitator, but I need to do the same for myself in my own business, because I've lost touch of what is the experience that I want to give my clients. I know it in my head, but am I actually showing that in how I show up when I'm with them, or what I put out to the market? I mean, I put out an offer in, and I'm being very vulnerable here right now. I put out an offer in November. It had interest, but it didn't have conversions. Why? Because somebody said to me, you need to go put something out into the market and get it out there. And how can you have a business if you don't have a product in the market? And I'm not disagreeing with this concept, but I wasn't in alignment with that. I did it because somebody told me, and it's like, yeah, let me just put this together. And what can I package together in terms of a program offering? Here's an example, people, where I was in alignment with that. I didn't even experience what I was putting out into the market. And whilst I believed what I can put out in the market was going to, serve the client properly, it wasn't my experience. What's your point earlier on? Jumping onto the bandwagon because Anissa says she wants to go to Spain. Here's a practical example where I did not convert anyone onto that program. Not my idea, not my ideal beliefs or my value systems, because I'm not the type of person to go and sell a program. I want to sell an experience on that program. So
And
I'm so
also kind of believe in it yourself to the point where you are able to experience it, that what you've put out is aligned to the experience you want to have. I
Yep.
think you've given us a really amazing an example. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just a point that I'd like to make is one of the other things that you'll find that happens when you start to shift your focus away from creating to experience, other than becoming a lot more observant and a lot more in a space of listening and hearing than communicating, talking, is your judgment of others falls away. Because what you come to realize is that everybody's asking for these experiences that they're getting, and you can't judge that
Yep.
because you all want different things. Well, hopefully, most of us would like different things. Ultimately, some of us ask for other people's experiences. That's a thing, but people have asked for an experience and they've received it. It might not align with my values, but they're living within the experience.
Yeah.
So it's just another thing that happens. It was quite interesting, I find.
Yeah. And, I find myself pondering now, even, do I go and revisit that program, but from a different vantage point, from a different lens, from a different perspective? What does it need to look like? What does it need to feel like?
Mm, mm,
What is the embodiment of my own essence coming through rather than, but you need to have a brand and a product and a service offering and put it out there. Brad, I've always just been
mm,
very blessed that when I have been willing to receive and be open to receive, it has come my way without the
mm.
need to do a signature solution or all the buzzwords that are out there in the market today. Is it important and necessary to think about your strategies and the experiences you want? Yes, it is. But is it important to obsess about it? That's where we need to discern. The moment we start obsessing, then we're not experiencing.
Unless you're asking for an experience of obsession.
That's true.
I
And
mean,
what could
it's
that
this whole
obsession be?
concept of, you get into, like I said, you get into, you created that campaign because you wanted the revenue
Yes.
and you needed the revenue.
I
But
needed
maybe, yeah, I need it. And you've shifted. You've shifted so much. I mean, I've just seen on your posts if anyone has shifted. But the thing is, if it had come from a place where I'd like to experience a full class of SMMEs where I will be sharing the following information, I can't wait for that experience. And you let that be. The opportunity will come. It's actually as simple as that. It's really, it doesn't take a lot to ask for an experience. I'd love to experience. The other day I saw on Pinterest, I've got a golden retriever, and there was a picture of a golden retriever swimming in the sea. And I went, I'd love to take Kevin to the sea. I would like that experience, please. And then I just put it away. And I know what it'll happen. When I'm
Yes.
aligned, when Kevin's aligned, when she gets off a lazy bum, and we can get in the car together. Okay, she is kind of old right now, but and if the experience doesn't come out and it doesn't happen, and then I just smile and wave. That wasn't an experience for me. And this reverts back to the topic of quitting. If
Yeah.
this business wasn't meant for you, smile and wave.
Yeah, I wanted to close us off to bring us back again to what we actually spoke about today was understanding the concept of quitting to succeed. And it's not doing nothing, but it's letting go and letting be and being in your truth and being in your essence and knowing what your values are and surrendering and not being stuck in a conditioned program belief system that no longer serves for where we are now, and to get back into the present moment, because the gifts are within this present moment, regardless of the storms that we need to overcome. Because if anybody tells me they have grown because of the blissful moments in their lives, I will challenge you on every bit of that. Our growth and our essence is really honed in when we allow the bounce debit orders to happen, not having that packages or that the program convert to any clients, etc., etc. Many examples that we can give. So let's continue to challenge the traditional success narratives. And I mean, Brad, any closing final comment you want to leave?
Yeah,
With?
join us. Join us end of Feb. We'll carry the
Yeah.
conversation on. If you agree, disagree, if you've watched this post recording and you want to, put a comment down and join us, please feel free. The experience that we've asked for around these sessions have been for A and I to be able to meet and talk through these topics, and we know that this will land on the ears that need to hear it. And
Yep.
we are absolutely grateful for that experience.
I do want to share our thinking for this year, our ideas for this year. Is not for you to just hear myself and Brad waffling along and engaging in just like this interesting, very meaningful dialogue that we love to do every month. We are inviting, whether it is other subject matter experts in their field that can add more value to these conversations. Next month, in March, I think you said we're bringing on Kelsey. We're thinking about Dr. Charlene potentially in Feb. We'll wait to see if she's available. But we will be bringing in and inviting more guests. And if any of you would like to participate in this segment, if there's a particular topic that you want to bring to the forefront and be part of this segment, please reach out to either Brad or myself, and we would be more than willing to host you. On that note, that's our sign to say we need to go to our next destination.
We need to
Until
go
next month.
drinking. The plane's over. It's time to drink.
Take care, and thank you for being here with us. Thank you for watching the replay. We'll see you again the last Wednesday of February. Bye for now. Brad, are you staying on?
Yeah.